But let's cross over to our very special guests, Johnny and Kaz. Good morning.
Morning to you, right?
Hey, good. Don't do that. I don't know if my volume's working.
Sorry. You're on.
We're on. Thanks for joining us ahead of Johnny going to school and you probably going off doing your dancing stuff. But how does the morning find you?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be a good... Oh, actually, no, it was thunder. It was raining. It was like... it was not good this morning, was it?
Does thunder and rain mean the crops get a watering? How do you think positively about the weather when it's miserable out there? It's so miserable.
Yeah, we do live in Batesford, so we like a bit of rain, being farmers.
you are a part-time farmer when you move to Batesford. What's earthing itself out of the ground at the moment?
It's got some
pumpkins,
cape weed. We're specialising in cape weed at the moment.
Cape weed.
Yeah.
Not a weed.
It's a lot easier to grow the weeds.
Pumpkin's a weed too. I didn't know until you grow it and it does not stop and it crawls all over the next door neighbour's house and it's a trouble. It's trouble. Thanks for joining us today. You obviously know why you're here.
Why? No, I didn't know. What are we in for? I didn't know what is this about, Troy?
Johnny, give him the brief. It's an audition for So You Think You Can Dance. Johnny has nominated you. And this
I already can dance. I don't need to go on that show.
But can you dance like Kaz? That's what it should be. Now, we're talking infant loss. And what does it feel like knowing that you're coming on air? We had Sam and Mia coming on yesterday, and it was the first time they have ever spoken in a public forum. And we kind of quickly found out that they hadn't really spoken to many people. What does it feel like for you guys at the moment? Is it nothing?
Yeah,
Is it nothing?
I think it's something that we think about a lot and talk about a lot within our family. So it's not unusual to think about it. So I think it's 12 years ago, which makes it a bit easier, I think, to talk about.
I guess I would be the same as though the couple yesterday. Like we've never told our story ever in a public setting like this to a middle-aged man who wants to know about our child who has passed away. I just find that amazing, Troy. You know what I mean? Like, 12 years ago we lost our son, and this is, I guess, the first time we can actually, say, talk about him to a community. It's really lovely to be asked, really.
Yeah, I sometimes reconsider why I'm doing this when it hasn't been done, or maybe I shouldn't be asking them. Maybe I shouldn't SMS Johnny again. And, maybe there's a reason, and so I do thank you for choosing to come on, because it makes sense not to. Why do you think it's taken 12 years to come on a really good radio show? But or does it not come to your mind to think, I need to broadcast this bigger?
I go to I've been along to bereavement groups, and I've spoken with my girlfriends lots, my close friends about, because it's not, I think for any woman, it's, you want to tell your birth story. You want to say how I fell pregnant, the first appointment, all the way through to how big was the baby, and that was all kind of lost. We didn't really get an opportunity to, people don't really ask those questions. They don't really say, oh, how long was the labor? How long was this? It's, you're at a funeral basically. And you're there, having just given birth, a week earlier. It's a bit of an out-of-body experience, to be honest. Yeah.
What did you find the most helpful immediately in terms of finding support groups? Was that something that you guys were really proactive on, going, hey, let's not be delayed on this. Let's open the yellow pages and go to bereave. What do you do? What do you do?
We had a lovely lady visit us at the hospital, and she was from Hope Bereavement Centre, and she was great. She had been through a loss herself, So she was, I guess, talking from that perspective, like we understood that she understood. And Hope Bereavement are a local Geelong organisation, and in fact, our paediatrician who came in after Israel had passed away, he is the president, I think, of the organisation. And so I tapped into their resources. They have a monthly group where you go along and you can talk about your story. And everybody who goes along has a really unique story. And I would go along every, years later, and I probably haven't been for a few years, and offer my support. Well, and really my only support is a listening ear to hear people's stories.
Yeah. What was 12 years ago? How serious do you get when you think back, and you're emotional now 12 years on? Is it strong, and then just slowly getting not faded memories but more manageable memories? You say that you're no longer going to the support group. That might paint a picture of that. Does that paint an honest picture of that you're healing, or that you're dealing with it better? Can't hear.
It's not necessarily healing in a sense. I think if you lose someone who's later on in life, you grieve the loss of that person, and their life, and those memories that you had with them, particularly if they're elderly. Whereas I think when you lose a child, you are constantly grieving. Like it's, like people won't know, like they won't understand the situation. Like when, Juliet goes to middle school for the first time, we're thinking, oh, that would have been Israel going to middle school, and so you're constantly like, it's a lifelong, remembering all those times, remembering all the lost memories, really.
We watched a video clip a little bit earlier today about a couple, and I don't know if you caught it, but it was on the ABC, and it's about two people talking, and it was about the woman speaking to the fella for the first time about things she's never told him, perhaps in response to the fella being thinked of as the second person in line of people to care about in the father, in the husband and wife, in the male and female thing. Is that the same with you guys? How have you guys gone in talking to each other? You checking in on Johnny checking in on you, sitting down and going, is everything said? I don't want you to talk now and turn this into a doco. But
is it marriage counselling?
Yes,
Right?
turn to each other, stare at each other in silence for 5 minutes, and feel. No,
I think that's a good question. I think people grieve differently, deal with it. Want to deal with their grief differently. And I think one thing that's really been good for Kaz and I is I think we sort of followed a pretty similar grief timeline. I don't think I think we decided pretty early on, because we knew that Israel was not going to be well when he was born for about 4 months. We did a lot of our grieving before he was born. So when he was born and then died, I think we were just sort of ready to get on with things. And so we went away to Byron Bay for a few days just to have a bit of a reset. And we sort of just, I was back at school within a week. We just picked up, and not ignoring what had happened, but we just wanted to, we had four months of life that was pretty much just down the drain mentally. We were just ready to move on. And I think both being on that same page was really good, because I imagine it would be hard if one person was, just wanted to get up first thing in the morning, chipper, move on, and the other was really still, in that really intense stage of grief. So I think that's been useful.
Got a question come through, and please, if anyone's got some questions that they'd like to ask Kaz and Johnny, this is your chance. If you want to keep it anonymous, send it to my SMS and don't put your name, I'm going to say it. we've got a question on here. Have you chosen to speak about and remember Israel with your girls?
It's just part of our everyday life, really. We just talk about him all the time. Yeah.
In a loss way, I know you say the word loss. Is that a fair and honest way of talking about it all the time? Do you sit every now and then remove the word loss and go, "Woo, what a cool day I had," or with Israel, and let's have a birthday and not say loss? How do you balance that so it doesn't become a sad story because you're worn out, or you don't want to be a sad person today. I'm sick of it. Do you make adjustments in that world?
Yeah, we talk about it in the present because, we believe that we'll all be together again. And so we talk about it as a reality, not a thing from the past. I don't know how many primary school age kids, just a regular Saturday activity is just to go down to the cemetery. But I think it's just been
sure.
I just think like their whole life, it's just been a reality for them. And I think it must be hard for them because we've got tangible memories, of being with him, but for them it's all pretty abstract. And that's again what Kaz was talking before. That's one of the things that you grieve is them not having that. Having those memories, but just it's our responsibility to be positive and think about the good times that we had with Israel, and that he was alive for 8 hours, and also just to speak positively about the way hardship can inform your view of the world.
Where did you come up with the name Israel? Everyone, I haven't had the joy of naming anything other than a dog.
This isn't going to. It'd be good if it was some. I think a lady from church pointed out that the name means after we'd chosen it, and we were while Kaz was pregnant, we were using that name, and someone pointed out that the name means he struggles, but it wasn't that. It just comes from when I was at uni, I watched a lot of Channel 31 just out of boredom. And they sort of show reruns of this show called Daniel Boone, which is like this sort of like pioneer style, American prairie show about this guy, Daniel Boone, who, wears a foxtail hat and hunts, I don't know, deer or something. And his name was Israel on the show. And I just, it always stuck in my head, like, man, that's such a cool name.
And we'd been to the Israel country. We really loved it. There was lots of, as well as Daniel Boone.
Real meaningful.
Booney over there, went to the country over there. Channel 31 uni. Really anchored in history. That's great. Got another question coming through by Anonymous. How much time did you both have with Israel while he was alive before he died? And what was that time like? If you can put it into words.
It was interesting. So I had laboured for like 2 days, and I'd been induced because I had preeclampsia, and then when he was born, that was really special because we didn't know if he was going to be alive or not, and so when he arrived, and as they do with babies, they plonk them on your chest, and he was a tiny little fella. And sorry, Juliet uses that term all the time, but she talks about it in regards to Olive. Funny little fella. And he didn't look well, as in like he looked like a beautiful little baby, but he was still. And I just, was very emotional, obviously, because I had literally, just literally given birth. And then about 5 seconds later, he started breathing, and it was just amazing. Yeah.
Far out. Which would have been amazing.
Ollie's just laughing at me in the background.
Hey, get on screen or get your no.
And so the midwives at the Geelong Hospital were like amazingly insane. Like they were just so wonderful. They knew that as the situation that we were in, where they knew that he was very weak. He had an extra chromosome, so it meant lots of his body parts weren't working. His little heart had an extra I don't know all the terminology, an extra spot, space. He had extra digits, but his face was just beautiful, and he was very, he was just perfect.
I love it.
And then, so I was able to express as well, like express milk and feed him. We changed his nappy and we did lots of things. And then, in the middle of the night, his breath started to slow, and this doctor came in, this big, massive Russian doctor who had had to sort of duck to get into the room because she was, so big, and her voice was just so European. And she was just so compassionate though in her touch, even though she had this she was like a gigantic basketballer. And she came in and we said, I think he's gone. And she, took out her stethoscope and she laid it on his chest, and she said, she just looked up at us and nodded. And that's when we knew. Yeah.
And then what? And then what happens next?
Well, we celebrated, next door, our friends had a baby, and Josh had a baby the next day as well. So Alex and Brett had their son Levi the next day, and Josh and Lucilla had Amelie. Levi was born on the same day as Israel, so they share a birthday. We think that's really special. And Amelie was born the next day. And so, mind you, after I gave birth, they said, doctors came in and said, the different doctor, not the Russian doctor. This was a doctor that looked like Doogie Howser.
I just imagine they all do. I don't know what other versions that there are other than Kate and Doogie.
And they came in and said, Karen, you're really sick. You're going to have to go to ICU.
Oh,
and
what was up?
Because I'd had preeclampsia.
What is that?
Jono can explain.
I don't really know, but it just caused your blood pressure to go really high, like super high blood pressure. Her kidneys had stopped doing anything. And so they gave her like a drug that was just sort of designed just to just push her for like an hour or two to go through the final stages of labour. And then, Kaz was just really, she was actually wiped.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, turned a corner. I didn't need to go to ICU. So, but then I had to remain in hospital for a day or two afterwards, because you've got to, I think anyone who has preeclampsia and goes on magnesium, they have to be monitored for a while afterwards.
When things like this happen in your world, sometimes it can be a bit overbearing, having to even deal with our closest. You've got to tell sometimes your best mates, stop asking if I'm all right. I've got to work this out. Was that the same with kind of this situation? People coming into the hospital, parents, brothers, cousins, everyone probably wants to care. How do you? But you're cooked. You're pretty tired. How did you guys manage that?
Yeah, I had my dad there and my best friend Jess. And that was great to have that shared experience with them, because they got to meet him. And apart from that, I think people don't know how to react. And so I think I found that, you kind of felt a bit like the elephant in the room afterwards. But people, tried their best to care.
I mean, some of the people that you talked about before, we know well enough to. I'd have to make an assumption they're such beautiful humans that had kids around that day. Does it come up? You obviously celebrate Israel's birthday. How do you go about that? And is it kind of nice to hear that? It's all this group of people, and Israel belongs to a crew, and a cool crew. We know these humans have grown up to be amazing humans, and
yeah. Well, yeah. Alex and Brett always send us a lovely message, and it's really heartfelt, and we really love that message. And Jane, there's just, over the years, it's probably just dwindled, in terms of who reaches out. But I always get a lovely card in the mail from a girlfriend who lives up in Central Victoria, and my girlfriends are always there for me. And yeah, we reflect. We always make the day special. Sometimes we do something. We ask the girls what they want to do. Like we've been to like the Melbourne show spontaneously once. I think we went to the jumping centre or something, maybe last year or the year before. Yeah.
So cool. How have you gone, Jono? You're a bit quiet over there, mate. You're in the crosshairs because your face is there. How have you gone? You've outlashed on an extravagant boat life, pretending that you're fishing for tuna every day. You're just hanging out with the mates. Is that really helpful for you? Things like that. Yeah. But what did you do while kind of Kaz is kind of going through her body mind things?
Yeah, it was. It's a much different experience for Kaz than it was for me. Yeah. Because I think you're both parents, but mums have this physical connection to a baby, and so I think while I was, before he was born and after, it was very much a mental game for me. Whereas, for Kaz, it was, she's going through all the things with pregnancy, and then after you have a baby, and even I can remember his funeral was a week after he was born, and Kaz's stuffing cabbage leaves into her bra to try and stop the milk from coming in, and you know what I mean, and so she was trying to deal with all those things that that are in addition. So I think early days I just tried to do what I could to have Kaz's back, just to get her right physically. I've had really good support, and I think Alex and Brett were in the hospital anyway, in the room next door, and
that's crazy that worked out like that.
I just remember Brett coming in.
Just open the curtain. What's going on?
Yeah, it was pretty weird, and Brett came in the next morning after Israel had passed away, and just knocked on the door of our room. Brett likes to act like he's tough. He's got a motorbike now, but he just gave me a hug. There were really no words said. We probably hugged for a lot longer than men would like to hug for, but that was really good. So just little things like that. And then same with Josh. Met Josh out. I think it went later on that day. Went out to get Kaz some water, and I didn't even know Josh and Lucilla were going to be in the hospital. But there's Josh in there, and same thing, just a hug. So yeah, I've had really good support. I've got good mates. Yeah.
Talk about something before which may have floated past people's minds, but you say we're going to meet again. Your faith in Christ is your life, and how has that helped through arguably one of the toughest things you're dealing with, baby loss, But to really believe that that it's not over must be super helpful.
I just knew very early on in the pregnancy that God was with us, that He had our back, and still does, and it's very hard to explain that. It's a comfort, I can remember we got given results early on after we'd had the 20-week ultrasound. And I remember sitting in the car and I received a call from the hospital to let me know the diagnosis, and which was actually good news in a sense, because it was a definitive answer, because at the time they sort of said we might not be able to tell you that what the answer is. And at that point in time, I answered the phone call, and I was sitting in like Mirabel Street in my car, took the phone call, and then just as she told me the news, it was like this morning, it was just like thunderous rain on the car. It was ridiculous. I've told that story a few times, but you can't explain it. Like, you just knew that that God was with us, and there was lots of times throughout that you just felt this comfort, this understanding that that you knew things were going to be all right.
It's the best. It's the best. John, you got to go teach some kids. 8:04.
He's got to do the exam preparation for, what is it today?
Oh, it's serious time, isn't it? I see people writing my kids' final day of life, big exam things. What's got? So you're off to teach. You have to run some exams for the year 12s.
Yeah.
Huge. Kaz, what are you doing today?
We're doing costume fittings for the 2, 3, and 4 or 5-year-olds. Ballroom.
I love
They're
it.
trying on costumes for Yellow Submarine.
Is it still a song? I cannot believe
and
it.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Oh, you should enter this team into the Poppy Kettle.
Oh, imagine.
Yellow Submarine and Poppy Kettle, they're instantly connected for some reason in my head.
And a recorder.
Hey, Johnny Kaz, a delightful moment to be shared, to be sharing this with you and to the listeners. Thanks for coming on nice and early. We love you. I love you. Thanks for coming on. We love it. Have a great day.
Thanks, mate.
See ya.